Oh, hello all. Started recording. It is Jillian, and I am feeling much better than my last video. I know no one commented, but in the future, if this becomes an actual YouTube channel, someone definitely will. So, today, I just kind of want to have a chat, start talking with my dad about something, and I just started thinking. And I talked about it a little bit on Snapchat, but I just want to learn more of it because it's important. So, basically, my GPA came in today. I got an email from my school, GCA, K-12 Academy. That's not what it's called. Georgia Cyber Academy. Done. My K-12. But yeah, there's that. And they sent me my GPA, 3.67, which is alright. Could be better, but you know what? It works. Anyways, so I don't really understand the GPA, grade point average thing. Because, I'm a freshman, and they don't really do that in middle school, or at least not in America, or not where I went to middle school. So I was trying to understand, if it was good. So I was like, hey, Dad, basically explain this to me by, where I would get into if I were to send this to a college admissions. And he, basically, I would get into my local college. I would get into my local college, Georgia Southern, but I wouldn't be able to get into, UGA, which is the major state college, really. And basically he literally said, he literally said, you wouldn't get into UGA, but if you were a person of color, you would. Okay. So this is where I provide background. My dad is a feminist. This is a very recent thing, because I explained feminism to him and what it really means, because he only knows, the only feminist he really knows in media is Hillary Clinton, and he's a Republican. So it wasn't a good word with him, and whenever I started identifying as a feminist myself, because at first I was very hesitant with it, it's just bad feminism. That's mainly what I had seen, but now I know better. Basically, once I started identifying as a feminist, he started asking me about feminism. He was just like, what does this really mean? Why do you stand by this? So I started explaining what feminism means, how it helps everyone, and how it's just the best thing for everyone in society. So he started identifying as a feminist, and he also supports the queer community since I came out, and I explained what everything means. I explained the spectrum, so he's very supportive of those two things. But my father is not so liberal about everything else. My dad didn't get to vote this year, but if he had, he would have voted for Trump simply because he does not like Hillary. But he believes in reverse racism like a lot of people do, and honestly, I feel bad for him because he's just not educated. And I try to educate him on that, but with that, he's not very open to being educated, which really sucks. So, since he said that, and since he's a feminist, as well as someone who's kind of racist, I just started thinking about, intersectional feminism and how some people are certain things and aren't certain things. And as I said in my Snapchat, basically, it's just very odd to think about how some feminists aren't intersectional. I think the only way that you can really be a bad feminist is if you're not an intersectional one. An intersectional feminist basically means that you support, all kinds of women. It's very easy for me as a white girl to not be intersectional. Basically, if I hadn't become aware, basically, you have a white woman, but she also supports women that aren't Christian, Muslim, basically, and women that are of different races, and women that aren't straight, and women of trans experiences. And I think that's the only way. I think that's the only way that you can be a bad feminist is if you don't support all types of women. And it's just very odd of me to think that there are racist feminists, and that there are homophobic feminists. Recently, Essie Hinton, it was basically she's a feminist, but she was being very just homophobic, and I feel like since she is from a certain time, she probably isn't educated either, which kind of sucks. And I keep saying that is because people aren't educated, And I think the way that you can get a more supportive world is if you're educated, which is why I think just educating people is the best thing you can do. Like the therapist that I go to right now, I told her what I identify as, and she was like, okay, what does that mean? I shouldn't automatically go, no, that's not real, gay or straight. Like that's what she grew up knowing, gay or straight. And so basically next time I go, she actually wants me to teach her about the spectrum, because she actually has like another gender neutral patient, and she wants to understand, because they're not really comfortable talking about the whole spectrum because they're very newly realized. So I'm going to teach her about that, and I think that's what's important, just educate people, being open to educating people, because some people, they just don't know, and it's not their fault. Well, actually, at a certain point, it does become their fault because they're not educating themselves. So you have to be open to educating people and being educated, and that's how we'll get farther. But what I was originally saying, it's very odd to me thinking that like certain minorities, like certain people support certain minorities but don't support others. Like Ben Carson, he's black and he's very for, equality, no racism, but he's also homophobic and sexist. And it's just very odd to me. Like, all minorities, this is just what I think, this is what I believe. I think all minorities need to stick together, because that's how we can really empower each other and get farther, is if we're all standing together, knowing that we're systematically put down, systematically less likely to do certain things, systematically just not having the good lot of life. And I think we need to stand together so that we can, it's just, because there, on some level, there definitely is power in numbers. And basically, I sit down to film this video, I'm talking very well though. It's like how when Orlando happened, they were trying to put the queer community to hate the Islam community. When I say they, I mean like the media, like Fox News and stuff. Because there is good and bad media. That's also irrelevant. Basically, they were trying to put the guy that did it, Omar Mateen. The guy that did it, he was an Arab, but he did not practice Islam. He wasn't participating in Ramadan, which is going on when Orlando happened. But the media was just like, okay, this guy's Arab, he's Islam, ISIS. I think like he may have like pledged to ISIS like 10 minutes before he walked in. I think that was just because he wanted to put justification behind it. There's no justification for that. Okay, I'm gonna have a chat about Orlando at some point, because like honestly, it was so much for me. But we don't need to be against each other. There are Muslims that are very much for the queer community. There are queer Muslims, and I think us minorities, they just need to stand together. Like, there are so many homophobic and racist feminists, like Amy Schumer. She is racist, and I don't understand. We need to stand together, and that's all we can really do. Standing together is all we can do. Like, when the election happened, I remember saying that as minorities, we have to sit together and survive this presidency. Because honestly, I'm still so anxious about it. But as far as this presidency goes, we are going to be okay. A lot of Republicans hate that guy, but of course, we can't really put our faith in Republicans. Republicans. That's also irrelevant. But basically, we have to stand together so all of us minorities can get the equality that we deserve. This also makes me emotional because I'm just so upset that it isn't obviously known that racism is still a thing, that sexism is still a thing, that homophobia is definitely still a thing. A lot of people, like straight allies that aren't like fully educated but they support it. A lot of them think that since same-sex marriage was legalized, that we have all the equality we need. No. And I can't remember the number. I'm pretty sure it's like 27 out of 50 states, correct me if I'm wrong, that there aren't anti-discrimination laws in place, that including the one that I live in right now. That means if I were to go and get a job, or if I were to go and live in an apartment and they were to find out about my identity, then they could kick me out or fire me just for that. And that makes me so upset. It makes me so upset. It makes me very anxious, and I'm sure it makes so many other people anxious. And that is still okay in America and in many other places. And it is very worrying, and there is an equality, and okay. And also, just a lot of things are being ignored. Like, some people don't realize that some racism is racism, that's sexism, sexism is sexism. And it's just very worrying. And as I said earlier, there just needs to be education. The more education we have, the better this world will be. And it needs to be proper education, not just the education that I had that was very white. Just not just that, like, all my teachers were white, actually. I think about it, but I only had white teachers. But that's irrelevant. But I mean that all of our history books, they teach us the white side of things. They don't talk about everything because it can make white people look bad. And that makes it sound like some conspiracy theory, but some people will understand what I'm saying. And it's very it's so worrying, and it makes me so upset sometimes. And it's bound to make me upset, but when I actually like talk to people, like if I'm in a debate with someone, I can't be upset. I can't show that I'm being emotional, especially if it's talking about feminism, because part of feminism is I'm going to make a video at some point talking about like feminism, just all the things that I actually stand for. Just talk about them deeply, and not just me going, oh god, stand together, education please. But yeah, that was my little chat. Thanks for listening. I am Jillian. I would like to continue that, but yeah, I will talk to you very soon.